Real Talk with Keith Smith.
And that's just Keith's voice.
Oh, God, you're going to fit in so well here. You got that Smith, like, chutzpah and, like, banter and don't give an F to you.
Hold it.
It's great.
Whose idea was, did you talk me into this, Miller?
This was your idea.
It was my idea.
This was your idea. And I said, let's do it. I think this is a fantastic idea. Do you want to set the stage? The show technically has not started yet.
The show is technically not started.
Do you want to tease it? Evidently, dad and daughter are not allowed on set right now. I just found that out.
I've been given probably 3 rules my whole life,
And
and one of which just happened.
2 minutes ago? Yeah,
Yeah.
don't call me dad?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a weird
Makes
rule.
sense, yeah,
That's a
all
weird
right.
rule.
Well,
No, you're totally right.
since Yvonne is an aspiring realtor,
You're
and
totally
gonna
right.
Join us and work together when we're talking to clients.
Yeah.
It should be professional, and it should. Oh, here we go.
I've seen it done that way. It should be done that way.
Yeah. And I've spent a lot of money with therapy to tell me it should be that
All
way.
right, Keith.
It is more professional. It is more professional.
But don't stop busting my chops because I know you love me every time you do it.
Yeah. All right,
Guys.
Keith, that sounds like a deal.
There you go. Is that the first time you've ever called him Keith?
No, first time I didn't get yelled at for it.
Oh, gotcha. That's true. My
There's
son,
a lot of teenage years that I called him Keith.
dude, our 5-year-old calls me Jerry, and I'm like, don't call me that.
Yeah.
Don't call me that.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Well, then you can just wait till he grows up and drag him into your business, and then make him call you.
Oh,
I'd like to give him the building.
whoa.
I'd like to give him the building. here.
Hold it. So, Scott, can you take over, please?
Yeah, go ahead, Scott.
I mean, where do you want me to start here? Like,
Scott knows this family extremely well. Guys, we're going to have a lot of fun today. Johnny Ornelas, thank you for sharing the show. Viewers and listeners, hit the like button, share the show.
I did.
Oh, you did.
I do
Yvonne
love very
is
clear expectations.
Doing fantastic. The aspiring realtor. Are you going to close the deal today as well?
No. Not licensed. Can't
Okay.
close the deal.
No.
Okay. Well, she can
Legally.
refer.
I'm not.
No,
No.
Use Keith. Can you
It's
still
done.
use Keith and Yona?
You can use Keith and Yona. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and Scott.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Eric Thompson,
Let's not get
hello.
her banned before she gets started.
Yeah.
Kevin Higgins, hello. Holly Foster and Henrico, hello. Jamie Turner and Culpepper, hello. Katie Pearl, the realtor, hello. Angela Morbley, the custom home builder. Inspired Homes, hello. Welcome to the program. Kevin Yancey in Waynesboro. Marquise, where are you watching today, Marquise Johnson? Are you in Hampton or are you in Charlottesville? I saw you the other day. You were looking sharp, my friend. Johnny Ornelas, Bellamy Brown, Lonnie Murray, hello. Scott Thorpe, Aaron King, Jesse Rutherford, Bob Yarborough, hello. Jen Finazzo, Mayor Snook, hello. Woody Fincham, hello. Laura Fonner, hello. Brittany Gray, Chad Wood, hello. Christelle and Lake Monticello, hello. JJ Bean, the coach, hello. J-Dubs, are you ready to rock and roll? Should we get a selfie here? Everybody in? Are you smiling over there, Keith Smith?
He's not in it.
Keith, can you get in the photo? I'm allowed to call him Keith, right? Scott, are you allowed to smile? Can you smile for us, Scott?
I think if
Yeah.
you call him
Oh,
Dad,
okay,
it's
okay.
like,
My arms are long enough. All right.
flip it.
Oh, Jesus, you're so smart.
That's why I'm a millennial. Yeah.
You're so smart. I'm a
young
millennial too,
millennial.
ass back
Oh,
over there.
boy.
3, 2,
You're a millennial.
1. You should just call me
I
old.
was told today that I am in fact not. I was.
You
going,
might be a geriatric millennial.
So
Hold on a
I
second.
fit. I'm Gen X. I'm Gen X.
Are you
I was
80 or 79?
79.
Okay, yeah, he's not
Do
a
you have
millennial.
a copy of that?
I believe 81 is the start of the
Yes, it
millennial.
is. It
Yeah.
is. It is. I was.
And
But
what are you?
very different.
2001?
94.
Okay, I'm just
94.
effing.
Yeah.
Younger millennial.
2010.
What's Keith over there? Can we call him Keith?
I don't know. Well, in the 1850s,
Oh, there's the singer right there. We're giving some props over there.
63.
J-Dubs, we can rock and roll when you're ready. Viewers and listeners, today's show is going to be dynamite. We're ready for you. There we go. Aw. Good Wednesday morning, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and this is Real Talk with Keith Smith. Thank you kindly for joining us. If you had an ear in our pre-production meeting, I think you would be giggling and enjoying life as much as we are today. The Wednesday edition of this program is going to feature yet another Smith, and it's not Yona, the better 7/8. This is going to be the aspiring realtor, a businesswoman waiting to happen, and Yvonne Smith. Actually,
It's not Smith.
It's not Smith. I know.
Yeah.
I will let her make that,
Yeah.
clear that up here. I'll let her clear that up. Let me do the intro over here, Keith.
Sorry.
Today's program
I'm gonna play
is
with my
brought to you by
granddaughter.
Ross Mortgage and Scott Morris. Scott Morris and Ross Mortgage, a name you can trust. Our friend Scott Morris was second in Ross Mortgage in production in 2022. Sales volume and deals
Units.
done.
Yeah.
Scotty Moe, second in Ross in the entire company. It's a name and a team you can count on. Judah Wickhauer is someone you can count on as well. Almost 13 years. 13 years, Judah, here at I Love Steve on B&B Brand, somewhere in that vicinity. I think it's actually more than that. I will look at the. I'll look at the first check I issue here. I still have it saved. Can we go to the studio camera and welcome our panel, Keith? I'm going to pass the baton to you because I think this is a pretty big moment here, right?
A big moment. Yeah, it's a big moment. I've got somebody special off camera to my left, and I've got always somebody special sitting a little bit to us right, to my right on over this way.
Thank you. I know it is. It's very kind of you.
And then, and Scott.
Yeah, and Scott. I like that.
For those who have been listening to the pre-show hot mic thing and intro, this is all family here, guys. Scott's part of the family. Yvonne is, and if you can hear a little bit of chatter off to my left, we may have a grandbaby on set. And Jerry always is family.
Thank
so
you. I was really hoping I was.
Yeah. We'll work
Thank you
we'll
so
work
much.
into that.
You mean the world to me as well, Keith.
Yeah.
I sincerely mean that. I think you know that.
Of course.
Yeah,
we wouldn't
you
be
know
sitting there across from each other.
Yeah.
But
Spent a lot of time with him. as you know.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
we're approaching 550,
That's
and
bananas.
I think that's middle of next month.
550 shows for 90 minutes with your father.
Yeah, I know.
You can go ahead and say whatever comes to your mind.
Yeah, no.
So people, so that you know, everybody out here, the chop busting will start.
As it should.
That's my thing.
We kid because we care. I think she's good still, right?
Yeah.
She's in a
Nobody
good-
wants to
good
see
situation.
Ravenna?
No, you just leave her till she's sad.
Well, we need to let folks know what's going on here. First, Yvonne, introduce yourself to everyone that's watching, and then her adorable daughter, who is one of the most beautiful babies I've ever seen, is offset as well.
She's just a happy baby.
So you truly are doing the Renaissance woman business and motherhood literally right now.
Yeah, so my name's Yvonne Weidel, and to clear it all up, my middle name is Smith.
There
so
you go.
all of the
Your maiden name.
My maiden name as
Yeah,
well, but
okay.
now legally my middle name is Smith.
Okay.
So it's confusing. So it's not Yvonne Smith Weidel, it's just Yvonne Weidel.
Okay.
And because, as you know, your partner is in medicine, when you have a partner in medicine, you roll solo a lot and you just bring babies with you and you make it work.
Her partner, the fabulous Houston,
Yeah.
a doctor, and he's highlighted it well, have gone from Seattle
Yeah.
to Richmond.
Yep.
Put in perspective the workload for your
Oh,
partner.
it's the same at the moment because he chose to take some nights. So
Okay.
he's on a string of nights for this month into September. So right now he's on the 2nd of 7, and it's a really awesome opportunity, especially because we just moved and,
Yeah.
money.
You need to stack some paper.
Yeah, at the same time, it's just a lot of work for everyone all around, and he's pretty tired. So in September, he'll start a significantly better work schedule.
You already have fans saying hello. Stephanie Wells Rhodes.
Hello.
Yvonne. Long time
hello.
no see.
Yeah,
Her
yeah.
daughter, Corinne. And she's giving you some
Her
props
daughter
on the
Corinne
feed.
is actually Emery, our cousin, Matt's youngest,
here we
third
go.
grade teacher.
Right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
isn't
is awesome.
fun? Yeah.
And Stephanie, you'll appreciate this. Our son is starting kindergarten today for the first time.
Oh, fun.
His teacher, Miss Chiesa, previously worked with your daughter Corinne, and Corinne came up in our parent-teacher conference
Oh,
with Miss
sweet,
Chiesa.
yeah.
Such a
Very
small
cool.
world, Central Virginia.
It is small, yeah.
It's like 2
very
degrees
small.
apart, everything.
I know. As soon as Tara, she was like, "What year did you graduate? 2012?" And she was like, Emery's teacher graduated 2012. I was like, yes, I know that person. There's no way you don't.
Yeah.
We
So
have Scotty Moe on set here, Scott Morris, and Judah Wickhauer, I believe, has a video ready to rock and roll. Why don't we start with a piece of sizzle reel content? Maybe if you transition this
Yes,
way, you
okay.
won't be in Scott's one. Judah Wickauer, you'll cue it up when he's ready to go. Scott, the show is yours.
Yeah, so I've got a number of realtor partners that I work with that I wanted to highlight some listings that they've had. We've got a Miss Monica Kincaid has a property that hers is actually just sold, and that was 14220 Chimney House Road in Richmond. And then this magnificent property in Riva, Virginia that Julie Garrett has listed $3 million. It is it could be used for events. They do some weddings there now. Just an absolute just baller property. Take a look at it if that's something on the luxury end you'd be interested in. Diana Banks has a house out 7141 Eggbornsville Road. So 335, perfect for an entry point home for somebody in the Culpeper area, especially if you're looking for a view of the mountains, that more rural area between Sperryville and Culpeper. Carrie Griggs, my boy here in Charlottesville, 4725 Blue Jay Way over in the valley. I think that is where that is, 359.9. And Taylor Averett has a property over in the university area. Great investor piece, renovated, 508 13th Street Northwest, looking at 550 there. And then again in Richmond, Kyle Taylor has got one at 4922 Crispin Court. So all people I work with regularly. Fantastic listings, opportunities for everybody out there, depending on where you're in Richmond, Charlottesville, Culpeper, that Central Virginia, they'll call it the Piedmont stamp of, it's just a great opportunity no matter where you are to take a look at some properties.
Very nicely done. Scott Morris and Ross Mortgage and the Realtor Partners. One of those Realtor Partners on set with us right now, the distinguished Keith Smith.
Look at that, huh? I figured you'd get to me sooner or later. Are we going to show a video or
I think it already ran.
It ran.
Yeah. Look at
It may
that.
still be running. I don't know. We can't see it.
We can't see it. He can see it though. He knows that it ran.
I saw it ran.
So this is awesome for me. It's awesome to have family around a table. It's awesome to talk to the folks out there, the viewers and the listeners. But part of the awesomeness of it is Yvonne has decided to get into the family business. And we didn't coax you, right? You came to this on your own. And then the second thing, I didn't coax you, don't do it.
I didn't actually think about how that came to fruition.
And Yvonne has her assistant on set with her. I see that.
I think, where it started was during my maternity leave. I was looking to kind of do something to engage my brain. I was like, I'll learn a skill. What skill would be useful?
She's a teacher.
Yeah, and just sitting around, and she is very lovely, but it gets a bit monotonous, if that's the correct term. And so I was like, I'll take my real estate class, got nothing else to do, and talk about the low bar of entry. I was able to do that and complete that, and that's kind of where the next steps started.
Diana Lynn Banks says, hello, Scott.
Diana, how are you, miss?
I'm giving you some props right now. Viewers and listeners, you can ask questions of the panel, including the aspiring realtor. She had her house in Richmond financed through Ross.
Yes.
Ross Mortgage. You guys want to talk about that process? Maybe highlight that?
Yeah, so do you want me to start, Scott?
Yeah, absolutely.
As we've kind of talked about before, just the lack of time when you have your partner who is in medicine is just so apparent, in addition to being on different coasts. And we went with someone who wasn't Scott, not because of Scott originally, but because it was the access to a doctor's loan. And we called Scott and told him that, and being the professional that he is, he was like, okay, if you think that's the best choice for you, here's the information and go forward. And I think that just highlights the empathy and kindness that you run with your business, because even though it meant losing a client for you, you just wanted what was best. And I think you knew in the back of your mind it wasn't going to pan out the way I wanted it to.
The bottom line is I knew going into it, this could be a great fit if they could make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they just didn't. And not only did it just was so tough because it's Friday, 5:01, they were closed, and that's 2:00 on the East Coast or on the West Coast, and Houston does not have business hours. and it wasn't working. And then the long story short of it, there just ended up being extra money. And so we called Scott and was like, can you help us? And he took us back with open arms. And like, I mean, truly what happened with the appraisal was one part Dad's foresight and 3 parts your ability to like crank out a product in like 24 hours. I mean, you were like, you didn't fill out all the forms. And we're like, no. And you and Tova just were like, okay. We'll
Love
make it.
Tova.
Yeah.
Big
guys,
ups, Tova.
You guys were like, all right, we'll make it work. And there was no like, just the problem solving. It didn't feel a lot of pressure on our side, but I know it was a lot of hard work on yours. And that was a dream team there.
Moving fast and getting through complicated situations are like one of the benefits. You know, we had a loan that we got clear to close in 10 days that came over that was supposed to close, I believe, August, let's see, would have been 7. August 7th, I believe, was the original closing date. We got it, application on the 9th, and we were clear to close on the 18th. And or I think the 21st. We submitted on the 18th, actually cleared on the 21st. And these people owned 13 properties, had some losses and some taxes, just a very complicated situation. And very much the same similar situation of, hey, we had this thing happen that we thought we could do. Can you help us? And then just the immediate turn time and getting all hands on deck to get something like that fixed.
Yeah. All hands on deck, I think, is a great way to describe.
So it's called Trusted Advisors, and we talk about it all the time. And you know, part of why I wanted you to come on here today, Yvonne, is to, you know, one is to introduce you to the world, right? And you're going to be working with us and introduce that little muffin over there, that little chubby cheeks, beautiful grandbaby.
Wiggle weird.
But talk about the experience, right? You know, because you are a younger, according to the chart here, you are a younger millennial.
Yeah.
You are in this 1990 to 1998 range. And to answer the question, I am officially a younger boomer.
Okay, boomer.
But
You're a millennial at heart.
but just only by like this much on that. So look, you know, I say all the time, sometimes the easy part is getting it under contract,
Yeah.
the hard part is getting it to close. But from a young person's perspective, talk about the experience and everything. I could take her if you would like.
If you want to go for it, she seems to really want this microphone.
Yeah.
We got a 7-month-old.
Yes. she's
7
months.
month old
She'll
on
be 8
set.
On the 7th. Oops, forgot her birthday for a second. Yeah, so it just being involved in this form of work, just because I've seen my parents do it for a very long time, you think you know it. And I think being a younger person, you also think you know everything, or just maybe it's me. And so I was really surprised. I thought, like, we got a contract, we got a home. I thought the hard part was just winning a bid, and then
Which was not that easy.
yeah. So it was difficult, and then it just kind of, everyone says buying a home is a stressful process, and I truly felt that until I worked with Scott. Like, I didn't feel it when we started with Scott, and so it's like I had the friction moment where it's like I started with Scott, it didn't feel like a stressful process. We switched to someone else, and then it felt really stressful. It went from like, we're late on this, you need to, like, you know, we're late with this paperwork, you need to prove this fund, you need to prove that fund. You have to go to, and we deal with Navy Federal, so we don't have tangible banks, so it's, you have to drive 30 minutes, and like, all of these business hour things don't exist in a world where we have an infant at home with no childcare out in Seattle and Houston working, 14-hour days. And so when we went to Scott, it just felt very streamlined. I knew that he had my best interest. Like the other day, we got a piece of mail that was like, this is regarding your loan, immediately pay. It was like a scam, And if we had not, like, I just texted you and was like, what's this, Scott? And he's like, throw it, shred it, it's fine. But I mean, if
I think also, I think I screenshot and marked up, like, check out the bottom, like, here's the language, like, see that this isn't connected to anybody. And I try to, that's something we talked a lot about with clients in the beginning and then at the end. So when you purchase a home, it's public record, and the first part of that being when I pull credit, or when anyone pulls credit to get the process started, Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax actually take your information and then sell it as trigger leads out to bottom-feeding people in this business, who then bombard you with phone calls and text messages saying, hey, it looks like you're looking for a mortgage. We can beat the rate. We can do this. We can do that. And they've got no connection to anyone. Some of them will even present themselves as if they are working with the company that you had the inquiry with.
Yeah.
So it can be very misleading, and the mail that goes out after you've closed the transaction 100% presents itself as if they are somehow connected to the people you originated or had contact with in order to try to lure you into it's phishing. There's different levels and scales, but I mean, it is all an African prince who wants you to wire them $10,000 so that you can then become a millionaire overnight.
Do people actually do that?
Oh yeah.
Okay, well, listen. I mean,
People
we're
fall for that all the
Mostly
yes,
boomers.
We're okay, boomers.
Did you hear what he said about me, Ravenna?
Like,
Did you hear that?
I mean, we're two very, and I don't want to call myself very educated, but we're two people
you're
who
educated.
have
You got a
like
college degree.
You've got a master's degree and a
We're
doctorate.
two people who have problem-solving skills, and we got that mail. We were like, you know, I think we were still in Seattle, and so like my aunt texted it to me because she stopped by the home, and we're both just so nervous about like messing up financially. Like, you don't want to miss a payment. You don't want to.
It's your first house. Yeah.
Like, did I miss a piece of information? Blah blah blah. And so it was very nerve-wracking, and it is very legitimate looking. And so for me to just be like, Scott, what's this? And you just to send back a circle and be like, shred it, it's a scam. I mean, within 10 minutes, all of our worry was gone, where I don't know if I could say the same with like who we were working with, truly.
Part of that, the predatory scam stuff also, like, I love how on Fox News they run these commercials for like Title Lock, and the guy comes on as like a former title thief, and it's like, Jesus Christ, dude. Like I mean.
Yeah, but the fear, where does the fear come from? Because you lived through the time of great unpleasantness, right?
Yeah, we just
right?
don't
You
wanna,
remember
like,
that as a...
Yeah,
I think everybody operates from this place of anxiety of like they don't want something to go wrong with this big, huge thing that they just did.
Yeah, like.
Well,
and
it must
would-
be true. It came in the mail.
And also, to be fair, like, my brain works at 50% capacity. Tired Houston's brain works at 50% capacity, unless he's inside of the hospital legally. And so, you know, it just wouldn't be hard for us to like miss a T that we didn't cross, you know. And so, it really relieved a lot of stress very quickly.
So how's the house? How's it going?
Oh boy, we are still very much in boxes. I would say we donated or got rid of about 90% of the things that we had in our small apartment. So the only thing we moved with is this leather chair I love, and
Nice.
like a bed. So we have very little things, which makes unpacking clothes difficult, because where do you put them? And with that, with Houston working so much, we just haven't prioritized it. We're like, it's summer, we got family, I want to go to the pool.
Yeah.
We can do that later. And it's just been kind of a nice rest time for when he is off. But the house is beautiful.
That's
I
great.
didn't answer that question. The house is beautiful. The neighborhood's so sweet. People want to talk to you, which is very lovely.
I hear that's different than Seattle. Your dad makes that point often on the program. Oh, sorry, Keith makes that point often on the show.
To Keith's point.
Oh, very nicely done right there.
To Keith's point, it's called the Seattle
giving me a hard
Freeze,
time with
and
that.
it's very real. But
I thought that was like where all the warm-natured, like caring people of America lived, and that's like that was like the focus of that entire society.
no. So everyone's so.
I mean, they're building societies inside of societies.
Yeah, they are, but it didn't go well, right?
Got
Did
it.
you hear about
Yeah.
that? So everyone is mad. Not everyone. Most people are mad because of transplants. coming into the city and changing their city. And I get that, but everybody.
By the way, that's the same in Fluvanna County.
And I get that. Everybody in that city happens to be a transplant. And the only people who, in my experience that I've met who are not transplants have been there since the 80s. And they love to talk.
You didn't meet any Native Americans while you were there?
I did not meet any
Okay.
indigenous people.
All right.
You just got schooled.
Yeah. I didn't get a chance to work on any of the indigenous lands, but yes, everybody is a transplant, and the people who have been there since Seattle was yay big, like they're excited because their property value went from $80,000 to $1.5 million. So they're like a little more excited to talk.
So talk a little bit about the decision. Seriously, I don't think I've ever asked you this question. What was the genesis? I know you talked about taking the tests and all that stuff, but we've never pressured you to be in the business ever.
Yeah.
So what made you decide that this is what you wanted to do? I know, that it's something that you can do two things at once. But
Yeah.
what made you want to help people to buy homes and sell homes?
I love teaching, and children are my safe place and my happy spot. I knew I didn't want to retire from being a teacher, as all the teachers watching and partners of teachers watching realize it is an all-encompassing job. And while I loved it, I was just really getting frustrated with a lot of the aspects of public school. And so I knew I wasn't going to go back to public school teaching, full-time at least. And I was trying to think of what can I do that allows me some flexibility? What can I do that allows me the knowledge of the market, and of the end goal is to be able to have enough knowledge to just start accumulating investment properties.
Nice.
And be the supplemental income in our family.
Why
And
not be the primary?
I'd have to work like them, and growing up, that I don't want to work like that.
Characterize how they work.
All of the time.
Yeah.
All of the time.
Yeah.
Which
Jerry and I were talking about that the other day, about the owning your own business spirit.
So you use all the preferred nomenclature and terminology. I think she's educating Scott, Keith, and I already. The word partner.
Yeah. You heard all these things.
As opposed to I was about to say my wife here. I take it that's
you can
not
say it's whatever you all are.
Well, I know, and
comfortable
I'm feeling guilty now.
No,
I
no,
need
no.
to keep up.
Tell them about the time you were trying to teach me about pronouns.
with. Well,
Which time? Is that right?
I think there's a larger issue that I don't know how to dive into that one, so maybe
I'm not going to. I've got a great partner story. So I had a client I was on the phone with, who.
This is about your partner?
No.
Okay.
No. This is about me. This is me and nomenclature, just not handling something as elegantly as I should have, and I learned a lesson from it. And I'll never do it again.
Okay.
His voice was a little feminine, and he used the term partner over and over and over again. And I said something about his partner, him gifting him gift money, and he said, "Well, he is a she," and I was.
That was
Just,
our client.
You were
yes,
mortified,
it was.
right?
And I was just mortified. I was like, and I said, well, did you have any other questions? And just moved the conversation along and made a mental check mark, don't do that ever again.
Yeah, I think
made that
I
mistake.
think everyone has a story. Well, at least I have a story, and it's the same thing. I was like, God, your husband's so handsome, trying to hype up one of my professors. And it was her brother, and she has a partner, and it was such a foot and mouth, and I was in front of all of my colleagues, and it just didn't, and I'm like, you know what, until I say, do you have a partner? And then they say, yeah, I have a wife, and I say, great, or they just say, yeah, I have a partner.
And then you go with it.
X, Y, and Z, and it's just a personal choice. I introduced Houston as my husband, but when I don't know, I just
Totally get it.
not to
You play it
stick my
safe.
foot in my
But
mouth.
it's so, as the boomer in the room, It's just so hard because.
No, it's not.
I know it's not hard, Yvonne, but when your brain gets north of 60,
Oh, come on.
it becomes.
I don't like
That's
when
a
you do
cop
this.
out. That's a
I know.
cop
It
out.
I
becomes-
say this to him all the time. That's a cop
You
out.
do much harder things. Anywho, be treating someone in a way that they anyway, treating someone that they feel respected is not hard.
Well, first
you
of
do
all,
that all day.
we always treat people
Yes,
with respect.
exactly.
Sometimes the words that we use may not match
Yes.
that. But
Michael Plecker giving you a couple zings over here. We love Plecker, one of the Shenandoah Valley's finest backstops.
I've been waiting for that to come.
We should talk real estate. We should talk real
Yeah,
estate.
we should. Yeah. But we've got
What do you
a.
have to say, Ray? So to summarize your question, I was just looking at a way that I could learn. I enjoy data, and I feel like this is a very data-driven. Oh, so tired. A very data-driven job.
Okay.
And I have seen my parents, and I thought honestly I would know more than I know, and I don't. And I just wanted to find a way to make some supplemental income that I could choose a little bit of when I wanted to work.
So in the process of buying the house, what was the big aha light bulb moment for you in Houston that you didn't expect it to be like?
I think truly seeing everything that goes on after you procure a buyer. I just didn't know. That's where I kind of ended. Hi, Mama. That's Scott.
Yeah, this is about Ravenna, by the way. This is Real Talk with Ravenna, not Real Talk with
So
oh, look at you.
Oh, she wants to drink.
Look at you.
Oh, you can tell Scott is a good dad right there. Scott has 3
And
children.
juggled 2 at once. This is
3
cake.
kids under 6, Scott, or under
Thank you.
5?
Well, the twins are 5 and my son is 3.
So 3 under 5.
Yeah, yeah.
5 and under.
Yeah.
That's absolutely amazing. Scotty Moe is a rock star dad.
Dude,
Jamie Turner and
looks awesome
Culpepper
on you.
says, real estate pronouns partners, you never know where we are going to go on Real Talk. Jamie Turner, we absolutely appreciate you. We do have folks asking for some insight from Yvonne on the Richmond market.
Yeah, sure.
Multiple folks asking for insight on what's going on with Richmond. We've highlighted briefly. We know there's more inventory in Richmond, certainly compared to the Charlottesville market. Can you put in perspective what you've seen so far?
Okay, well, I know nothing because I've been in Richmond for not
weeks.
even 20 days.
Yeah.
But
But you did experience, right? Because it took us how many months to find that house?
yeah, it took a while. But and to add to that, I'll add my anecdotal stories, which are not worth much compared to hard data. But on my street, I would say my entire street, they look like me. They're my age. And they all have moved inside of their home within the last year and a half.
Wow. That's
and-
great for you guys.
Yeah, and it's like everybody I meet is maybe a little bit older than me, a little bit younger, and they all say they've come from all around the country to live there. And it's also an interesting parallel because they are all transplants and yet kind. And to see the way that people are viewing transplants and
But they're welcoming,
transplants.
right?
Yeah, welcoming to see. So Richmond seems like there's a lot of turnover. I was asking about who lived in my home, and we are just the 3rd owners. So maybe that's
Since
not.
it was originally built,
Yes,
which was built in the 40s.
the original.
Wow.
Yeah.
So 3rd owners, that's great.
Yeah, so we're just the 3rd owners, according to my neighbor, he's the one person who has been there for 28 years.
We can see that in the GIS though, if
Yeah.
we wanted to figure that out.
So with the thing about the Richmond market, it changes pretty quickly, right? From several
Yeah.
blocks one way or the other, and so talk about that for a second.
So they're doing a lot of. I live a few streets removed from Broad Street, which would be like a main intersection, kind of like
Broad
right-
Street is 250
Yeah.
from Charlottesville into Richmond.
Yeah, perfect. And so you just go a little blocks over, and it's different. The homes are still pricey, I know, because I've lost bids against them.
How many bids did you lose?
A lot. Yeah, this was the
13.
one we bought was the
13th,
home.
right?
Yeah. And so it's kind of cool because our neighborhood is encompassing all of the homes that we didn't win. And so we'll walk and we'll be like, yeah, remember when we lost that one? Remember? And all of the people we see are young. Like they're all young, minus our very first home. We saw them the other day and they are your age, Keith.
That's so good.
So I don't know, but
I'm going to regret this.
The reason why I brought up Broad Street is because they're doing a lot of work on updating Broad Street.
Streetscape.
And you can see it kind of coming up from Scott's Addition. The hope is that it'll eventually continue to come up into our neighborhood and through the Willow Lawn area. So it just feels like a lot of change.
So amongst your cohort, right, amongst your young millennials,
Who took your beat?
what's the chatter about buying houses and housing?
The chatter is that it's unaffordable.
So expand.
It's unaffordable. A lot of people are saddled with student loan debt. A lot of people have rented for a very long time. Hi. The same reason why you see people having these later and later in life. It just, and I don't know if it's right, I don't know if it's wrong. That's just, my friends say.
Hence the acronym DINKS. You know the acronym DINKS?
Dual income, no kids.
No kids.
Yeah.
Jamie Turner taught me that acronym, and he's watching right now.
Yeah, it just feels like, amongst my friends, it feels unattainable.
There is a growing sentiment amongst Zillennials, which is young millennials and the older Gen Zers, that home ownership has become a luxury and is unattainable.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, Houston and I often have this conversation, like, look at who...
And Houston makes bank.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Look
Yeah.
at, well,
I mean, we're
eventually
talking about
will. Eventually.
Anesthesiologist, right?
Let's talk about, like, historical incomes that are historically strong.
Yeah. mean-
Like,
People know an anesthesiologist makes bank.
yes. Now, he was a resident for 4 years. He paid for all of his college through med school. He has loans. Like, you know, the jumping into the income earning years is delayed 12 years through medical school and residency. In addition to, look at who we are. Like, I'm a teacher. I've worked since I could work. Before I could work, I worked illegally for cash. Like, you know. And my husband is also working, and we really struggled to afford a home. Like, now we wanted the home that we wanted, so we could have been less picky. Probably using the royal we too much. I could have been less picky. But I wanted to set our family up for generational wealth in a spot that I knew was going to continue to be strong. Hopefully, knock on wood. So Houston and I often talk, like, we barely made it. Like, we scrounged ourselves, and Houston saved a lot during residency so that we could do it. And I don't know how other people would. Like, realistically, how would other people?
And if it wasn't for Scott stepping in at the last minute,
we would be sleeping on the floor of our home.
all your cash would have went away.
Yeah, because we had no play money. Yeah.
Well, that's not play money. Buying furniture and necessary.
We would be staying with my mother and father. So thank you, Scott.
Thank you, Scott.
They have a baby.
Yeah,
this was pretty important here.
Yeah. So
it's not like it was just Houston and Yvonne here.
Yeah, I mean, and we.
Oh, that is a dog too.
Yes, and Luna. So I don't know. I mean, like, what would you say to someone? Because how do you get someone that doesn't look like Houston and I to get a home?
I mean, Eric
right
Thompson
now?
made this comment. It's not just Zillennials. Think about us divorced and remarried Gen Xers.
Yeah.
And did you follow up with Eric?
Yes, sir. We're talking today.
Okay,
Thank you,
fantastic.
thank you, Dad.
All right.
We're talking today.
No dad.
No dad.
So-
No dad. Thank you, Jerry.
So
As long as it's not
to
daddy, I
give
guess.
some perspective, I've got 3 clients in the last 2 months that I've worked with for longer than 4 years who could not buy when rates were 3%, when rates were 4%, when rates were 5%, who we've worked through credit and job and income and personal relationship issues to get to a point where they've been able to purchase a home at 7% interest rates. And it is not, we're not at the peak of affordability by any stretch of the imagination. Mortgage rates are at mortgage rates are at a 20-plus year high. Mortgage demand is at a 28-year low. We have rates that are at 70.5%, and depending on product and credit position, you could be getting something quoted in the 8s, and that is where we are. Now, at the same time, believe we're starting to see cracks in the armor of the economy. We're getting some disappointing retail sales. We're getting some numbers that are coming in. We've got banks that have been downgraded in the last 48 hours. We've got a speech from Jay Powell at the Billionaire's Paradise of Jackson Hole that's going to come out, and I think that he's going to kind of stay along the same lines to which he has stood previously, but there's not a lot of news, but I think we're starting to see the tide turn now. However, what you're also seeing in the last 30 days is this steady increase to the U.S. 10-year. The U.S. 10-year, if you look at it from a macroeconomic perspective, like the actual textbook data tells you that the U.S. 10-year should be projecting GDP growth on top of and along with the real yield. So if you're assuming a real yield of 2.5% on top of a 2% interest inflationary perspective, so we're going to have a real yield of about 4.5%. We're trading at about between 4.25% and 4.35%. That tells me we've got another 15 to 25 bips that we could potentially get to before things start to come back down.
I think that's definitely going to happen. That's a third sizzle reel right there. I mean, so you say you see a Q4 rate hike?
I don't see a Q4 rate hike. I see this drumbeat of continuance of higher for longer, but that higher for longer should take us to a terminal 10-year of about 4.5% before we start to turn the tide. I think we're there. I mean, I think we're really effing close to right there. Like so close, like I can taste it so close. But we may not be there yet. But we're starting to see some cracks, and it's going to start with. All the numbers say that we should have started to see corporate debt consolidation this year, and that debt would have to refinance into higher rates. But that's every company who has to do that has put it off. So what you're going to see going into next year, if you are somebody who's way smarter than me and my age and like got into the banking and trading services,
we got folks like that watching right now.
And you're an M&A. Anything that's like that Goldman, like the merger and acquisitions going into next year and debt consolidation and refinance and the winners and losers show up in 2024.
Passionate.
I like it.
Look at
You know
that.
he's passionate when he starts scooting back.
That's right. Got to get back from the
That's
camera.
the third reel
get it
right
all
there,
in,
Judah Wickauer.
boxing the
Look
microphone.
at that. You did the whole hugging on the kid thing and then right
Yeah,
into that.
yeah. Back
We'll put it in very simplistic terminology.
Yeah, 'cause I'm lost.
The time to buy a house is now.
Well,
It's only going to get more expensive.
So that was the question I wanted to ask Yvonne, right? So we have two buyers. Mom and I have two buyers. Yona and I
Yeah,
have
come
two
on. You
buyers.
set rules and not follow.
Sorry about that.
Boomer, rules for thee, not me. Am I right?
I see that. 550 shows of that are wrong.
Not quite yet.
We can because we can.
No. Now my ADD kicked in. Totally forgot what I
You
was.
talked about the
Two
buyers.
with
So
mine.
so we have two buyers.
Yona.
That's not allowed.
Yona and I have
That's
two
not allowed.
buyers that we've been working with for months and months and months to go ahead and do this. And as of yesterday evening, they said we're taking a timeout. So
I get
they're
it.
your age,
Yeah, I get it.
but what would you tell them about not doing? How would you have this conversation with them that they should stay in the game?
Well, first off, I would say, is that what is best for you financially? Is that what is best for you mentally? Is taking a time out mentally what's best for you? Then do it. Because I'm not going to say that as someone who has, lost homes after homes, it does take a toll on you. And if you need to take a break, do it. But I remember when I wanted to take a break or I wanted to not even start this journey, Dad was like, because the plan was we'll live at home or we'll live, or we'll rent and we'll save some cash. Pause, please.
Please, absolutely. Studio camera there, Judah Wickauer.
So the plan was, right now we don't know the neighborhood. We want to live in Richmond. We're going to rent in Richmond. Our rent will be $3,000 a month, and we'll rent.
How's that compare to your mortgage?
Well, with the interest rate, it's not the same as our mortgage, but it's close enough that I would rather not be burning it out a window now. But then we'll rent for a year. We'll find out where we want to live in Richmond, and we'll save up we'll save up our cash and be able to be one of these like cash, 20% down cash offer people and win a bid.
Yeah.
And Dad was like, that's great, but between rent and interest rates and the prices of going up, you're not going to really save any money.
That was good advice.
You're not.
You're just going to be chasing something.
You'll save peanuts. Like, you'll never be able to get that down payment. And I really didn't want to hear that. I was like, no, you're wrong. And I really thought that you were wrong until just watching the interest rate. They're not wrong, but I didn't want to see that as my truth.
Wrong was okay. A good
Yeah.
choice of words.
And we calculated it in Seattle. We spent $120,000 in rent. $120,000
That's a lot
over
of money.
4 years.
That's a lot of money.
And rent. And it just sucks because and maybe this is what a lot of people who are my age or in a similar financial situation, like, there's nothing you can do about it. You feel like I can't make a down payment. A sizable down payment. I can't find a home in my price range even if I could. And so then I just I'm left with like burning checks out the window every month.
And we should highlight this, that you guys, I don't want to say it's a unique situation, we're in an advantageous situation because of your partner's earning potential and the opportunity of this doctor loan.
Yeah.
That is by no means the norm.
Well, in addition to the doctor's loans actually ended up being 0% help for us. Like what Scott did helped us 1,000% more. And I know that came down to just appraisal and the way that all shook out. But like, we had to bring significantly more or verify significantly more cash for doctor's loans, which is just so backwards because that's the reason why you have a doctor's loan is because no one has cash. Than we did with Scott because of what happened with our home appraising incorrectly, I think, in my opinion, incorrectly the first time and closer to value the second time.
Well, the market caught up
Yes.
from an appraisal standpoint, is
Yes.
what happened. And he knew that by delaying the closing.
Yeah. And so,
I mean, that's what happened, right?
That is what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he knew that the market was going to catch up and the value was going to appreciate. That was a crafty move you made over there, Keith.
it was
Just
very
like,
crafty.
I mean, you're a crafty guy. I give you props often on the
But
show.
not only was it craft from Keith, I feel like I should be getting in trouble. It was the fact that Scott and Tova, I mean,
Well,
I
what-
feel like I gotta meet Tova. I gotta order a drink.
So
Tova's great. Love Tova. Is Tova watching right now? Let me see if Tova's watching.
I think so.
Tova truly was just like, all right, we got to get all these. Houston, you have 3 hours before you have to go to sleep or before you go into work. We'll do it. And then because of that, like, no one wants to feel like they're in a pinch financially. That's not a safe and okay way to feel. And so we could have done it with the doctor's loan and we would have been all right, barring like something.
Right.
But you don't want to ever drain your bank account to zero. Like, if I have advice, like, don't ever drain your bank account to zero for anything, let alone buying a home.
I think that's good advice.
So something that I talk to a lot of the people that I work with that are selling and then buying, and they're like, well, how can we just buy? Can we pay multiple? How many points can we buy down? Or if I put this much in, I'm like, why don't we consider the fact that if something happens to you the day after
Yeah.
you close and you don't have these cash reserves and you just tied it up in the equity of the home, like, leave yourself a parachute, leave as much buffer room as possible, because in a year from now you're gonna, assuming that things do what I think that they are going to do, you're gonna want to be able to have funds to refinance the loan. You're going to want to be able to do these other things to have options for. And when I talk about having the right team and right professionals, I've got a gentleman who was selling a house in Tennessee and buying here. He actually got pre-occupancy and paying some rent to the current owners before closing, but didn't do a lot of research and took this guy who listed his house in Tennessee, and the moment that I saw the listing, the pictures looked like they were taken with an iPhone. There was nothing done. There was no staging done inside of the house. And I counseled him. I said, look, I don't think this is a great idea. He's like, well, the guy's telling me he can get it done. I said, okay. I locked for 60 days. We're coming up to the end of the lock period. I said, look, dude, you need to fire that agent tomorrow. You're burning rent on one end, mortgage payments on the other. rates have increased a full percentage point from the time that I locked you. You have get rid of this. Here's a guy. I reached out to some associates of mine in Tennessee, found a fantastic listing agent. Her name is Kelsey Walker. Just got everything set up and just kind of put him in the right place that it needs to be. But the people matter, and the people matter so much in these multi-step transactions, because one person who's not doing a good job can destroy your process for everything else involved.
Yeah,
Love it,
it's
Scott.
truly like you're only as strong as your weakest link. Like, Dad asked earlier what was the most surprising, and then I'll take care of my babe. What was the most surprising part of the home buying process? And it was how much happens after mom and dad are involved. Like, I didn't, because I never saw that. I saw mom and dad say, okay, like we found you your buyer. And then maybe there was conversations happening. I just wasn't able to understand them. And then once that starts, it's a whole tree of network of people who now have to put things perfectly into place and line up timing, and there's laws that you have to witness and sign certain documents before you can close 3 days, and if that doesn't happen, it pushes, and it is just a really cascading chain of events after that. And to talk about not getting rid of all your cash, we didn't get rid of all of our cash because of Scott, and our AC broke.
I heard about that.
And it's just like, it feels like it could be a punchline. Like,
20 days in.
Yeah, two first-time home buyers buy
with a baby.
Yeah, with a baby, buy a home in August, and
Right.
families coming and visiting, and their AC breaks. And because we were able to keep...
But you got that home warranty, right?
Well, okay, so it's twofold. Because we were able to keep some of our cash, like we were sweating quite literally, but like, we weren't like, oh my God, we're about to have to clear to zero if we need to replace this HVAC unit. In addition to, we were also, if we had to, we could have, because we had saved some cash, but we had the warranty, the 210 homebuyer warranty, which Dad and Mom gave as a gift to me, and I believe that is like pretty standard practice for their first-time home buyers. At least that's what Dad was saying.
No, I think that's right.
Keith was saying.
Yes, Realty Partners.
And so
Great logo, great website.
all I had to do,
And a good grandpa.
it was so easy. All I had to do, and I hate new things. Do not like change, do not like new technology. All I had to do was go on my little app and say my AC was broken, fill out the serial number about the unit, and they found somebody and was like, hey, we've reached out to them. Does that work for you? And I looked them up. They had great reviews, and it was fixed. And all I had to pay was a service fee coming out. And there was nothing wrong with it, but in the future, that's all you gotta do.
We'll go to the studio camera there, Judah. We're doing a baton pass. I know this transition quite well. Scott does as well. So Scott, why don't we talk about this? And I've even heard this from finance professionals, literally folks in finance, in money management, talking about let's wait, rates will come down, values will drop, essentially trying to time the market. I think we need to debunk timing the market. There's really no timing of real estate. What you do is you get in now and you don't make another year's worth of rent payments. I mean, what was Avance? It was $120K, you said?
For 4 years.
For 4 years at Seattle. I mean, that's $120K that was evaporated, eviscerated, never seen again. Anywhere you want to go on this topic?
So even if you're an investor looking to purchase and the cash flow isn't where you want it to be, but if you have the fiscal ability to get in and take the L for 12 to 24 months until you can refinance and get that in a better position, the rate in a better position, and potentially the mortgage insurance at that point as well. The first-time buyer, if you're burning money in rent, that you could potentially be putting towards some equity, that the appreciation isn't going to stop.
But how do we get past the fear factor, right? That's really what's going on, and that was the conversation.
We get Joe Rogan in here, and we get we start eating scorpions, like right now.
God, I love a Marine.
Hello, Scott. Hello, and Scott gets like this.
So my pop dad. So that's my
Scott and I, like 15 years ago, would have been like the best of friends and would have gotten in a boatload of trouble together.
Yeah, so
Literally.
Yeah, and for me, it would have been about 30 years ago. But anyway, 40 years ago.
I think one of the best things that's ever happened to Scott and I is our partners. Wouldn't you say that's
Yeah,
the case?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but hello, that's like everybody. Everybody's partner makes somebody.
Well, I mean, I think you fall in this category too. The three of us have a tendency of finding our way into mischief.
Oh yeah.
We'll put it that way.
No, it finds us. I don't. We, for whatever reason,
It's attractive to
It's
us.
attractive.
It's attractive.
It's attractive.
to us. But you should highlight the fear where you were going to go with that, because you're
Yeah.
going to make a good point.
Yeah, so, it's the fear thing, and Yvonne, I think, was trying to allude to that. That's the reason, first of all, she's awesome.
She is awesome. So you're going to crush it in real estate.
But she
I mean
also has the skills as a teacher, right, to help educate folks, because that's ultimately what we do, and that's I think ultimately we have fun and we joke around, and I put a binky on my shirt, and we have grandkids on set that is maybe not normal for us, but it shows us that we're real people.
You are real people.
We're real people.
This is
and
what life is as a business owner.
This is literally. I'm sorry, what'd you say?
She said, can you apply that logic to why I should be able to call you Dad instead of Keith? I could see it from both ways.
It does, but from
Well, the folks who are watching and listening, let's let them chime in. What should be the Yes Realty part?
I think on this one you're right here. I've seen this in the setting where it's like the dad, the mom, and then the Keith, Yvonne.
Because people, if you're in a situation, they're going to respect your opinion less, and you look like less the professional.
That's 100%
exactly right.
That's why.
You would be marginalized.
You're
That's
marginalized.
exactly right.
That's why. And
Yeah.
when it comes to
think
when
that's
you
right.
go to give advice, it's for the same reason that I don't call anyone in my downstream an assistant. They have a titled role, and that should be the way it exists in your business. If you outgrow Keith and Yona and operate as an individual, you don't have an assistant, you have a transaction coordinator, you have a marketing
A colleague.
professional, you have someone with a job title, because the moment that you call them an assistant and then they are having
Marginalized.
to deliver a message to a client, the client
wanna hear from you.
They don't care about, they go,
Yeah.
okay, get the assistant out of the way and bring me the professional.
Yeah. So I've done enough.
Kevin Yancey says, thank you for the help yesterday, by the way.
You're welcome. I don't think that's based on gender. I think you can marginalize
No.
anybody just with a name, or just with a title.
So that is exactly the reason why I want to do this. But there's a value, right? We all do a little bit of public speaking. There's a value of reading the room and reading who you're talking to. So for instance, my mother and father, at that age group, they wouldn't have a problem with father-daughter thing. But for the most part, I respect that. I respect Yvonne immensely, and I would need to publicly. That's the reason why I wanted to do this today. I wanted to publicly say that she is our real estate partner, and her name is Yvonne.
She needs-
just happens to be my daughter.
When is the test, Yvonne?
That's it for the test in the end of September.
End of September? Fantastic. And then once you ace that, she goes on the website?
Well, we'll get her on the website.
And then you guys,
And I have to start negotiations.
okay. Your commission split. Yeah. I like it. You said it's 95.5, right?
Uh-huh.
95.5 without any thresholds. Am I negotiating for her?
Miller, you're not helping. But yeah, so-
We also got to be careful because some of your colleagues are watching the program right now.
yeah.
In
You
fact,
also have-
leaving comments here.
Yeah. So let's take some of the comments on it. I just this is an unusual flow for a show today. I just wanted to thank everybody for allowing me to do this, because today was very important to me to introduce Yvonne to the world.
Well, I hope she comes. I hope you come
Well,
back.
this is going to be a regular thing. We
Yeah.
had daycare, but it fell apart at the last minute, so we had to pivot.
Well, the cool thing about this would be is if, as you get your license and pass the test, then you could just be like the Richmond market insider, or like,
Well-
she spotlights the Richmond market, which
So-
would further expand the show. What we got to figure out is you're streaming to your Facebook page, and you need to get a business Facebook page.
It was the right password, wasn't it, Judah? You saw it.
Microphone would help.
I know. We're using all four mics. We got four ports.
Oh, sorry. Shoot, I apologize. So, look, the reality of it is she's a new agent. She's going to shadow us for about 6 months, right? And
Stephanie agrees with Yvonne. Stephanie says in a situation like this, dad all the way. Everyone knows he's her father, and sometimes that's a benefit too. And the interesting thing is Stephanie's speaking from personal experience.
Yeah.
Mr. Wells, the second generation owner.
And if you need to get some work done on your home, who are you going to call?
Interstate Service Company.
ISC.
A home's best friend. So Stephanie, I remember many meetings where it was you and Mr. Wells in the meeting, and it was Dad and Stephanie. Yeah, I think it's for those that
But
are
how do you
listening.
determine that situation, though?
Yeah. I don't know. You know who I saw this navigate well was friend of the program, Chris Jensen.
Oh, yeah.
And his mom, the late, great Pat Jensen.
Without doubt.
I was in many a meeting with them early, 15 years ago, with the first property, the Villas, and actually with Redfields. And then it was like, Chris always referred to her as Pat.
You know, I don't. We're going to navigate it together, right?
Yeah. To be determined.
We're going to navigate it together. My suspicion is that it's going to come some sort of hybrid, right? Where at times we'll do Dad, and at times we'll do Keith, and we'll just have to work it out. But you're 100% right. It's a thing. But you know, our default would be Dad and daughter. But it's important to me that she is her own person. So. We'll see how it goes.
How do you play? What's the expectation or the plan with the Richmond office?
So we take these things one step at a time,
okay.
Right? I'm not so sure it's going to be 100% Richmond. We need to first get past the test, right?
Okay. Well, she's going to ace that.
I'm sure she is. And then she's going to spend about 6 months with us learning how to do the business, right? Because she kind of needs to learn how to do the business before we turn her loose on the world. And to be honest with you, that's something that you and I are going to have a conversation with on how we're going to grow that brand in Richmond. So at the moment, we just want to eat this elephant, God forbid.
Oh, I got some huge ideas.
I know you do.
The wheels are turning. I can't wait to dig into that.
I know that.
That's like one of my favorite things to do.
I know that. So we're just going to see how it goes. But at the moment, we gotta get the training wheels off, right? First of all, we got to put them on. Pass the test.
Yeah, we're not on
we're not there yet. Then we got to take the wheels off, and then we're going to have to, then we're going to cut it loose. But we need about 6 months, and I think the timing is perfect. And here's the thing.
I think timing is absolutely perfect.
Absolutely.
Because you cut your teeth in this market, then you can do it in any market.
Absolutely. I think we're going to see a substantial readjustment of agents.
Kate Sharts, the Queen of Ivy, is watching the program. Kate, you have, I see you all the time. I know your husband well. Her husband is, her partner Yvonne, is an anesthesiologist in Albemarle County. Kate, you have Luca, Margot, Nora, and what is your baby daughter's name? She has 4 kids, Kate. What is your baby daughter's name? She says, I like Dad. She thinks she likes Dad better.
Yeah. So thank you.
Multiple people are coming on the feed and championing the dad here.
Okay, well, I will admit I'm wrong. If that's part of why I wanted to throw it out here to see what the feed is going to say. What do you think, Scott?
Well, Scott's already on record. He says he likes Keith and Yvonne, and he made a pretty compelling argument for why.
Yeah.
Ada, that's right, Ada. Thank you, Queen of Ivy.
I know I'm right here.
He knows he's
You're
right. This is from Michael Plecker, one of your colleagues.
Yeah.
He says there needs to be a mental shift in the market to see a significant number of participants in buying and selling. And for that to happen, they need to feel like now is the time. That mentality is media-driven and rate-driven at this point. If rates hit 4.75%, the gates will open for a while, and once the backlog is cleared, then things will slow down. This is from Grayson on a different page with a similar comment. Says, this is media-driven right now. Jerry, do not underestimate the influence you have with this network. I would imagine the large majority of people in Central Virginia are watching you instead of reading the news and watching TV or radio. I know folks in our family certainly do. Careful with what you say on the program, because folks are clinging to your words on this show.
So you couldn't have been spoke any truer words. This is media-driven. And the reason I know it's media-driven, I'm looking at the last 7 days. right? We do this all the time on the show. We're back over 67 new listings. This same week, we were at 45, excuse me. So we're over 20 listings week over week, great. But there are 54 pending. This is the car footprint, and 69 went under contract. So homes are coming on the market, just not at the pace that they probably need to be or they were, but they're still being sold. So homes are still coming on the market, going into pending and being sold. So don't listen to the media that the world is ending. But to what the point that Yvonne made is if you're gonna buy, what's the best time to buy?
I mean, buy now.
Yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, certainly before the 1-year lease renewal happens.
Yep.
If you can. Yeah, empathy right there from Yvonne Offset.
Offset.
Little empathy. That was the voice of God, otherwise known as Yvonne over here. If you can. 22, what do you think the average rent per month is in this market? I'd say it's right at $2,000 a month.
Well,
Yeah, I bet that.
That might be light. What do you think, Keith? You have that? You can find that data?
I'm going to find that data for you. Well, you're going to tell me. I'm just going to pick. What do you want to do? The city of Charlottesville?
I say put Charlottesville and Albemarle County.
Okay.
Charlottesville and Albemarle County, average monthly rent. If I put the over/under at 2,000, Scotty Mo, would you take the over or under on that? Little prop bet, just for pride here.
Average?
Yeah. No, let's go median, Keith.
Well, that's interesting. That's a topic we're going to talk about on Friday is median, because I'm starting to rethink using median because there's so much upper end number selling. I think it might be screwed up, but we'll talk about that on.
What, you would prefer now to use the average?
I don't know. We're going to talk about that a little bit more.
So that's a
I would
conversation
say
you had with Woody Fitcham.
that's probably there. I want to be. I would have to take the under
I think it's under 2K
because I would say that
because you got those single unit, the one bedrooms
that's
that are 1,500.
Yeah, and even and your 2-bedroom 1-bath is probably running 1,800.
Yeah.
And that's probably 70% of your inventory, and the other 30% is going to be single family and 3-bedroom. That's going to carry you from 22 to $3,000, 3,500 in that range.
Charlottesville and Albemarle.
I'm with you on that, Scott.
We're going to do 3 numbers here, right? We got the median. Is that 2,500?
Damn! The median monthly rent in Charlottesville and Albemarle County is 2,500.
Average is 26. So when median average are close, that means that we're doing
And what's
good.
the third number?
The third number is the highest, $6,000.
What's the third number indicative of?
That's just the total highest. So the lowest number is 850 and the highest is 600. But the
Gosh, that shocks me.
Yeah, the median average, and I'll tell you how many bedrooms that is here in a minute.
What? Can you cite your source on that? Is that Paragon?
This is Paragon, yeah.
So give me that number again.
You may-
I may use. I'll make sure I quote Real Talk with Keith Smith.
Thank you.
So, to give you an idea conceptually what that means, the way a lot of these are calculated, just to qualify
To rent,
to rent,
you're talking
3
7,500 up
times-
front.
Yeah, yeah.
First, last, and security.
And personal income.
And by the way,
Yeah.
I've heard now we're up to 4. I've got a couple of.
First, last, security, and
And-
I mean that's just a
right.
landlord sticking it to people.
And if it's
you're talking 10G up front to rent a place,
well, so
that's what you're saying.
One of these clients that want to put it off is at the renewal state. Excuse me to interrupt you.
Not at all.
Is at the renewal.
He is the part of the presenting sponsor of the Wednesday show.
I'm not worried about that. I'm just blown away by the
2,500 a month is shocking.
Yeah.
I think the Villas is under rented right now.
So let me quantify that. That's single family detached. Okay. So it's 2,500 is the median. The average is, hold on a second here, I've got to move it back to something else. The average
median in the city and the county.
this is city and county now.
Okay.
Let's do this because I'm going to pull out.
No. You're doing it great. 2,600 is average.
So I think it's going to be a huge difference if you look in the city versus Albemarle County. So looking in Albemarle County, single family detached, it's the same numbers. 2,500 for median, 2,623 for average. High side is 800. That's going to be 6,000, and there's 1,850 somewhere it's not even habitable. Somewhere out in like Schuyler Way. So. it's a
Scott,
one-
finish your thought on that.
I'm just blown away. I mean, that to me is insane. That's all. That's the thought. That's crazy.
That is insane. Insane. That is probably why we had 27 applications for our $19.50 a month offering at the villas.
So, and if that is the case, that being the case, not if, that being the case,
Buy a house.
That buy a house. I mean, that's a you know, if they're getting it, that's amazing.
I think they're getting it.
I understand that they're getting,
Yeah.
or it wouldn't, the numbers wouldn't exist, but you know.
What are you thinking over there?
So it's interesting. The city of Charlottesville and Albemarle County, I looked at them separately. The median is both 2,500. The city is just a little bit lower on the average. It's 2598. The high is $5,000. The low is $1,250. So the cheapest rent and for single family detached in Charlottesville is $1,250, and it's a one-bedroom home. Scotty knows where that is. Let's take a look at attached real quick.
That right there is an advertising, marketing, and branding campaign for Ross waiting to happen.
Yeah.
But like devil's advocate, 10,000 is not a down payment on a home.
So I'll help out here.
2,500 is not a mortgage.
Yvonne says offset. She says 10K if you need first month's rent, last month's rent, security deposit, and evidently now landlords are asking for second month's rent as well.
It's just this one case. That popped
10G
up.
right there up front. She says 10G up front is not a down payment of a house. I think Scotty Moe's going to counter with some of his loan offerings where you don't necessarily need to put money down to qualify for some of his financing vehicles, but I don't want to speak for
You
the
know, while
mortgage
he's doing
insider,
that,
the Brad Pitt of mortgage over there. I mean, that hair is on point
this
over
is
there.
scary.
Jesus.
Albemarle County attached
Yeah.
is not much less than detached.
I think I'm way under.
It's 24.
My rental's way too low. I need to call Suzanne here.
It's
All right.
23 and change.
So let's assume 325 is a purchase price and
325,000.
in a exterior county, Fluvanna, Greene, Louisa, Goochland, Powhatan, Madison, Culpeper. Let's say you could find an entry point, and there are people who have listings at those price points. I highlighted one of them today. Diana Banks, I'm aware of. I can look at. Let's see what a couple of the others were. Carrie's got one 359. Kyle Taylor in Richmond has one 339. That's going to give you, with taxes, PITI, all in, a total monthly payment of about $2,600. And assuming now, you're probably going to be $19,000 if you're coming to the table with all of it yourself. If it's a position where we were able to get some concessions, because we are getting longer days on market, you can conceivably could walk in the door, total cash out of pocket, $12,000, with a monthly payment of $2,600.
Do you want to know what Lake Monticello? I've just
That's
looked
good.
at it while you're
That's
doing
great
it. Lake Monticello rental single family detached is costing right
Lake
now.
Monticello rental single family detached.
According
I mean,
to Paragon. Now
I would imagine 3-bedroom, 2-bath.
3-bedroom,
I mean,
2-bath.
2K, right?
25.
Jesus.
Okay, so list price, is that what sell price?
No. This is what listed.
No, I'm talking to
So
Scott's
yes,
list
yes.
price at 350.
325.
I'm seeing more days on, we're seeing more days on market for a lot of these exterior, if it is not newer, upgraded choice, everybody loves it, multiple offers. If it's deferred maintenance, a little bit further out, we're starting to see more days on market. And with those properties that are starting to see more days on market, I think the likelihood of
Negotiating wiggle room.
getting some concessions to
Yeah.
say, hey, this, I'm a first-time home buyer. We're willing to pay $5,000 over. Can we get $10,000 in credit? So we're coming in a net for the buyer or the seller.
Or you're having a conversation with the listing agent and they need to stay in the house for 6 months,
Yeah,
3 months or stuff.
Dude, I want to highlight you guys. This is a power team to use. Scott knows how to play the game. Keith undoubtedly knows how to play the game. I mean, yeah. And then we have a devil's advocate offset over here. Holly Foster, you may have a client, Yvonne and Keith, your first client, Holly Foster, the Queen of Henrico, said, I got to meet Keith and his wife on Market Street on July 3rd when I was looking to deliver the Red Vines candy to you and Judah at the studio. I thought I would like to work with Keith and Yona when I was getting ready to sell my house in the future. It's nice to see his daughter will be in the business working from Richmond since I'm in Short Pump.
Oh, great. Thank you so
Holly
much.
Foster, Keith and Yvonne and Yona would take phenomenal care of you. Phenomenal care
And
of you.
Yvonne will keep me out of trouble. So there's a coming soon home at Lake Monticello. It's going to hit the market at $273 on 5 Hawks Place, and it's in the coming soon.
Eric Thompson, who you have a follow-up with,
Yes, that's
says-
sometime after 2 o'clock.
please follow up.
Yeah,
He
yes,
says,
sir.
okay.
Eric,
He said,
Eric, do me a favor. Will you text him and
I
tell
think
him
I could
come-
fit in well with your family, Keith. He says, renting and buying are the same price right now.
Yeah.
It seems when you factor in insurance, HOA, and maintenance, it's literally the same in a wash.
Yeah. Well, even if owning is a little plus, right? You're paying $2,500 or whatever the number is for Lake Monticello. You're not paying yourself at all.
Yeah, you're not
It's
paying.
a fixed,
You're paying my mortgage
It's also a fixed cost.
Yeah, yeah.
Assuming that your property taxes stay within a relatively normal range and your homeowner's insurance doesn't go up through claims or the company's closing or anything along, nothing crazy. And I mean closing. There's been a huge shift as far as insurance in the state of Virginia goes. But assuming that those things stay the same, you don't have to worry about the landlord increasing or you having to get out of that rental to go to another one to try to stay in the same range. You're in a fixed cost environment that potentially, if rates come down, you could actually save some money in the future. And if you do have to pick up and leave in 5 years, you could be then paying yourself to make that transition instead of worrying about just can you get your security deposit back.
There you
So
go. I love it.
$273,000. Assuming you can be creative and get it, it's a win-win. So when Yvonne comes back, when we have good daycare set up for for a show next month,
I think that's a good idea.
she's going to come.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. We had it, but it fell apart at the last minute. So but we adapt and overcome.
Eric asked a good question. How much more can rents go up?
It's a
Do you want to
great
handle that,
question.
Scott?
I don't.
We don't have a crystal ball,
Yeah,
but
I
I would
don't-
say they're going to keep going up.
They're
Or you
bound to-
disagree with that?
They're bound to plateau at some point, and when there's a sticking point. And then so I think it's partially going to depend on.
I think when interest rates
Can I
drop-
show you? Can I give you an example? When I first started renting the villas, which was less than 10 years ago, it was a G note a month. Now we're at 2K, basically. So we're 2Xing in less than 10 years.
Even if it's
That's pretty substantial, I would say.
even if it's stuck.
And mine's the entry point in the county. It's
So
not
you
a
have-
sexy spot by any means.
All right, so you have to assume. All right, one that's part of the inflation number that we have as far as the perceived rents or average or reported rents, and then on top of that, what we're seeing through wage inflation. And those are the two things that really make inflation stick and tangible is cost of living and how much you're getting paid. Because if the cost, when one is just gobbling up the other, it's what the reason that we all feel the most pain and takes things back to neutral. I think that we're probably at a peak of wage. Hopefully, I believe we're at a peak of wage inflation, which is in turn going to be a kind of a peak for rents at the moment.
One of my fellow commercial brokers was walking in here. We were working on a deal. Evidently, we've gone a little long here. I have a little finder's fee that I need to probably see if I can go about getting right there.
Got to pay your bills, brother.
So I will throw this to you guys. I do not think, and maybe you guys disagree, I do not think that rents are going to plateau. And why I don't think that rents are going to plateau is because of what's going to happen with UVA, where there's going to be potentially 8,000 to 10,000 new people coming to the area in the next 5 years.
We didn't even use the
which
I.
is kind of crazy to think where 8 to 10,000 new people are going to live.
So-
we didn't use the I word yet on the show. I don't think we
I
did.
think he did. Just
You used
there.
the inventory word.
Oh no, I thought the I word. So the
So-
I word's inventory, not inflation.
Here's
Inventory.
here's what I think is going to happen. I think rents plateau, and we see more single-family residents that are now primaries converted into rental units.
That I would agree with.
More single-family residents
Yeah, yeah.
that are now primaries converted. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Rents plateau,
Yeah.
but more
That's what the,
rent.
the
but,
econ professor.
but we
When
see
we've
a
been talking about
transition. We see an inventory transition from primaries to
To
rentals, which is what continues to then drive the cost of primary homes up as more inventory comes on board.
So how
No,
many?
that's
so-
this guy is so convinced that's going to happen.
No, and I don't disagree with that.
He's basically
When
saying.
you say, am I this guy, or is there like somebody smarter than me that knows?
well, no.
they're
There's
talking
no
about?
Scott. There's no one smarter than you on this planet. There's no one. It's the econ professor.
There's lots of them.
The PhD, the guy who teaches econ at UVA. He's like, why are these folks ever going to give up the 2 or 2.5 or the 2.75?
Well, part of
3%.
part of the reason is that we have an unprecedented amount of equity that we've never had before, and they're going to try to tap that out and go do that. But look, it's
And
11:37, and you got
11:40.
business to do.
I actually
so
might have to sprint outside the
they might
door
have to
here.
sprint outside. So look, I want to thank you guys. Thank you very much for pivoting with us, and
I think
and
you maybe send a nice, kind, direct message to Holly Foster as well.
I will send a direct message to Holly Foster.
Yeah.
I wrote it down. But I wanted to thank everybody for allowing me to be Pop Dad and allowing me to be Dad and Keith at the same time.
Yeah.
But we're excited about Yvonne. We're excited about them
I am
being
very
here.
excited for you.
And
I think you're going to crush it.
this
I
is going to be
sincerely
good
mean
stuff.
that.
Be good stuff. I'm excited about it. So thank you, everybody. And you got to go do business.
We should, I need to get off air, but just a suggestion, you guys should document on social media. Still out there? You guys should document.
You want me to run out and make
No,
sure
no, no, I'll text them. You guys should document on social media the test process. You know, I think that would be, it would be great content.
Well, we actually have something to add to that, and we might do this on Monday because Keller Williams has an actual path to help folks. So those who might want to get into business. But in any event, you got to do business, sir. So thank you very much,
Keith, Pop Dad,
Pop Dad.
Scotty Moe, Scott Morris, Ross Mortgage, I can't say enough of. Yvonne Smith, taking her test in September. Judah Wickhauer, props to you. I'm getting the notification that I should be in a meeting right now. This is the Real Talk with Keith Smith. The I Love Seville show is up at 12:30. Thank you kindly for joining us, everyone.
Friday, just Batman and Robin.
Well done, everybody. Well done, well done.
Thank you for adapting, guys.
Yeah.